in the city. This is not the first executive director who is coming up with conversations around vendors getting off the streets. And many others are saying, why now? Why not then when we were getting into an election? Has this whole trade order conversation become a political game, a ping pong of, yes, you can come at a particular period of time for as long as I win your favor, then I can be able to send you off. That's a conversation that we'll be getting into. I'll start to introduce my guests. And on my right is Mr. Patrick Katabazi-Kichoncho, who is a politician and an economist. We'll be breaking down some of these issues economically because trade is a very important aspect when it comes to the economy. Patrick, a very good morning to you and a pleasure having you.
Good morning to you, Mildred, and good morning to our listeners.
Thank you so much for coming through.
And viewers.
Oh, yes. And to the Kampala City Traders Association, which is no longer just about Kampala, but with extended arms, or we can just clearly call it Kasita. I do have the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Mwesige Ebel, who is also joining us in this regard, because in most cases, somehow, somewhere, your people are directly affected in conversations of trade order. Good morning to you and say hello to us.
Good morning, Mildred, and good morning, our viewers out there. It's a pleasure being with you this morning to share about such pertinent issues, especially in business.
And I would like to start with you, especially because you directly work with the businessmen who are affected by the traders, because some of your members have talked about paying high rents and, you know, and yet their business is being affected because for Mildred to move into a shop to buy merchandise, she will find everything she needs on the street. Sure. How do you take in this eviction notice?
Thanks, Mildred. To begin with, yes, we have to be human. As Kasita Uganda, our position from 2-3 years ago has always been advocating for a relocation of these street vendors to designated places, of course, because of some of the effects that you're mentioning. And before I joined in, I overheard you with your colleague sharing about your experiences downtown there. Yeah. To be honest with you, more than 60% of our arcades down there are getting empty. Right. Because businesses are no longer, making sense. And two, when you talk of accessibility in the CBD, it's not there at all. Now, to make matters worse, just as you're mentioning, these street vendors are actually selling similar things to those that are in shops. Yeah, and that's true. So someone would wonder, why Honorable, I even don't know whether Honorable would take a trouble to move in such places. He orders online. Not because he wouldn't want, yeah, but the factors around. Talk of security. Yeah. You're moving downtown, especially you ladies, and now these street vendors whose characters are really not normal. They are just pushing you, pulling you, and then, pickpocketing. Before you know, you have no appetite to actually proceed. Continue ahead. These are people who are not paying rent. Some of them might dispute that because maybe somewhere, somehow, there are some people that are charging them, yeah, but it's not official. But I do have shop owners who have reported themselves to KCCA in a form of paying for a trading license, and they're like, hey, I am here doing legal business. I am paying taxes. I'm paying rent. We have a number of people that we are employing. You understand? And at the end of the day, you're blocked from doing normal business. But Abel, there is some allegation in particular places that those very shop owners will give their part of their merchandise to the vendors on the streets. What many downtown call kuyiriba. You go, they go to the street sell because they know not so many people are coming into the shop, and then the young man or young lady brings back the stock, they do the stock taking, they receive a bit of a commission. I like the statement when you say it is alleged or the allegations, but sometimes they are even true. You understand? But before you look at the kuyiriba part, let's look at the underlying factors. So Honorable sets up a shop, he invests in it. He expects a return on investment. Yeah. Now, at a point where the authority or government has not provided a conducive environment for him to realize the return on investment, what do you expect of him? He will have to devise means. not in a willing way, but in a survival mode, which survival mode is not sustainable.
You're right.
You understand? And so at the end of the day, that's why we are saying no. Why would someone get his entire capital, invest in a shop, in a business, and then at the end of the day starts, getting into those survival tricks? No, we are saying no. Let Abel, who has opted to go for a legal business, formal business, let him be supported, and he does the right business. So that's why as Kasita Uganda, our position, I think we have over 8 petitions to KCCA, Prime Minister, advocating for the same. And when you talk of trade order, they're off streets now. We're happy. What next? Now, we want to see taxis being allocated to tax parks. We want to see borders getting off our shop faces. You understand? Because at the end of the day, I would want to see Mildred comfortably walking to Nabugabo, comfortably walking to Container Village, and you make a purchase. So I can be able to survive. I can be able to grow my business.
All right. Thank you very much, Abel. And I totally hear you out. But as I come to you, Patrick, where did we start? This is not the first time we're having ultimatums. Where is the genesis of this trade disorder in the city?
Mildred, you introduced me as a lawyer, economist, politician. So I am here for the first time since the election.
Since the election, I want to welcome you back.
Thank you very much. And I'm exceedingly grateful to the people of Ruchiga who have elected me as their member of parliament.
Oh, sure.
So
I totally did.
To thank you. But also, Mildred, it is very important to underline the fact that the issue of informal business is not only a phenomenon in Uganda. It is a world over problem. And I think in sub-Saharan Africa, we are talking about more than 66% of the people who are employed in the informal sector. So these are people who have very small-scale business enterprises with low productivity, unregistered, and of course, in many cases, unable to pay taxes because of the nature of their operations. It is also very important to know that, well, they lead to congestion, they disrupt some formal businesses like Abel is saying, but also what we need to appreciate again is that these businesses form a very big foundation for sustenance of very many livelihoods that we have for people around some of these urban centers. So we have to look at it both ways. How these business enterprises distort the formal businesses, that's point number one. But how do we ensure that the livelihoods that are around our cities that are relying on these businesses, how do we ensure that they thrive? For me, that's really a very broader debate. But where did we come from here?
Yes.
It is largely one of the things that are very common again in our social setup, rural-urban migrations, that people are moving away from villages, coming to urban centers with the hope of making money.
You're right.
And when they come to the city centers, many cases, reality hits that the jobs that they are seeking to get are not available, and therefore they start looking out for many opportunities of at least making a living, and what some Ugandans would call a kweya. In many cases, that's where somebody would then want to vend clothes. That's where somebody would want to vend food. That's where somebody would want to do boda. But at the end of the day, it leads to this. It leads to a clash. Already you hear Kasita is saying, please take them off the street.
Yeah, we need to make business.
For us, we are formal. We have formal addresses. We are paying taxes. We are paying rent. And these guys are putting goods in front of our shops, making money, and for us, we are not making money. So a clash like that often arises. But there are two things that, again, that come from it. And the government has responded, and it usually does. And the most, of course, common in African setting is to come up with regulatory enforcement, punitive measures. get off the street, provide space for the formal business to thrive, and of course, yet, on the other side, you have some governments who are now saying, which of course now rhymes with what we are talking about this morning.
Yeah.